And on today's TGI Texas, my series on faith and family, we're talking to teens and how they are coping with the stress of what's been going on and the sudden changes that have taken place in their life. And this came from my daughter, who a couple of weeks ago got very emotional and really just kind of threw up on her mom about everything that was going on with her. It was very emotional for her. And I really hadn't realized up until that point just how stressful this has been for them. And one of the things, or a few of the things that came from that discussion that I've had with her since then is just how stressful this has been. And one of the main things that she talked about is that there was no closure to the school year. They left for spring break and then just never came back. Now, she is trying to focus on the positive. That is a good thing, focusing on the things that she does have as far as the family. Everybody is healthy, but she's also having to cope with the uncertainty of not knowing when it will all end, how the next school year will be. So that has added a lot of stress for her. So now I do kind of understand that a lot more. And I also talked to a couple of other teenagers about what it's like for them to be away from school, friends and family, and how they are leaning on their faith to get them through this time.
I guess not being able to see my friends, because that's when I'd see them at school every day, at lunch, we'd eat lunch together. So that's something I definitely miss. One question I tend to ask is, when is this going to be over? Because it's very chaotic and a lot of people are getting sick, and they don't really have an answer for me. I don't think anyone has an answer. But they've just told me to, trust in God, knowing that He has a plan. I just have to remember that God knows exactly what He's doing. And whenever I feel in doubt, I can always pray to Him or go look at His Word in the Bible and just talk to Him whenever I want. So He's always there.
Now, I also talked with Reverend Robert Purvey of the Antioch Fellowship Church in Dallas, and he mentors teenagers, and he's been helping guide high school seniors through this tough time.
Maybe God didn't send COVID, but maybe God is using COVID as something to show the world, hey, this class wasn't able to finish their spring sports season. They weren't able to go to prom. They weren't able to do the traditional graduations, but they still found a way to rejoice, still found a way to have joy, still found a way to smile. So that's kind of the message we've been preaching to our seniors.
And another message that Pastor Purvey had for parents is making sure that you are present during this time. I know we kind of focus on everything that the grown-ups are having to deal with, but make sure your teens you're in tune with what they are dealing with, and you just sit down and listen and ask them questions on what they're dealing with, how they're coping with this, and just how they're handling the stress of that. And sometimes they might just need a hug. Sometimes they might just need you to sit there and be quiet and listen to them, like I've learned to do with my daughter.
That earlier, Greg, that this pandemic has kind of provided some extra opportunities for family connection that you might have overlooked before.
Yeah, and that was one of those things my daughter pointed out as well. We get to sit down and actually eat dinner together every night now, and that's something that we weren't doing before the pandemic.
By the way, listening to those teens earlier, I think it's really easy for each generation to criticize kids today, but when you sit down and talk to today's teenagers, I think you feel like the future is in good hands. Thank you, Greg.